Welcome to the next episode of the Path Less Chosen podcast, the podcast showing the careers you don't teach you about in school. I'm Jamie, and looking forward to getting on today's guest, who goes under the Instagram handle of DazMental. He's a wildlife filmmaker. He's going to be tuning in from Zambia, from the lion camp. Some of the stuff that he does is incredible. Just in the last week, he had a video of some lions that got 35 million views. He has a following of nearly 30,000, and he lives in some of the coolest places in the world, filming some of the coolest animals in the world. So it should be really interesting. Sol, do you want to tell us some of the key takeaways we're going to get from today?
Yeah, absolutely love the sound of that, mate. So first we'll be hearing about some mental stories about him having cobras in the place that he's sleeping. Sounds pretty scary to me, warning if you have any snake phobias. The second is how to get into a career in the bush. Everyone talks about how much they love animals, but Daz will be going into how to actually make it a career that you can make money from. And third is the less glamorous side of living with the coolest animals in the world. So can't wait to get into this week's episode.
Sorry, just to quickly jump in before we start the episode. This week I noticed we're now up to 20 ratings on our Spotify, and our ratings are actually quite high. However, if we could just ask one favour, if you are yet to rate us, if you could just jump onto whatever platform you're listening on and just drop us a rating, preferably a high one, but anything's better than nothing, just to help with our algorithm so that more people can hear about more cool careers. Back to the episode.
So, Darren, mate, great to have you on. Absolutely buzzing to get into this episode. Firstly, we'd just love a brief description of what you're actually doing right now.
So at the moment, I'm stationed here in South Luangwa National Park, here in Zambia. At the moment, I'm here as the resident photographer at the lodge. I built up a relationship here with Lion Camp, which is really deep, like in the heart of the park, in the what we call the sweetest bush, where, it's just prime territory for animals, prime territory for predators, plenty leopards and stuff all around, lots of lions, huge herds of elephants. It's just an abundant national park altogether. And yeah, I'm here just helping them gather content, I'm building up media, and then just also greasing the groove, staying active. At the moment, the wildlife documentary space is a little bit stagnant. So when I got the call up and the opportunity to get out here, it was a no-brainer. And I've got like a great relationship with the GM. They're a couple, husband and wife. And yeah, they are incredible people to witness in terms of how they run a business. Out here in the most remote part of Africa, they run a luxury safari and give people like a seamless experience. So the opportunity to also watch mastery in action is just something I just was like, there's no ways I'm not coming down. And then just I've also built up a family over here of brothers and sisters, Zambian people that I feel like have welcomed me with open arms. So yeah, the opportunity to be out here to just engulf myself in nature, and yeah, just pretty much every day be out. My goal is just to document what the wild provides.
Amazing. No, I think you must be having so many, in fact, fascinating experiences all the way from running like a luxury safari business through to like the actual work that you're doing on the photography side. And I think what's so incredibly unique about your career is that there's tourists all around the world that will pay thousands and thousands of pounds to come to the location you're in right now and take photos of wildlife, right? And you get to do that as a career. So talk to us a little bit about like how that lifestyle is. Does it feel like you're constantly on holiday, or does it feel like work to you?
Yeah, no, I think the big misconception is that like life out here is just like a holiday. It's a lot of sacrifice, the career I've chosen. I mean, on this trip, I'm missing my the first wedding in the cousin. Like I'm an only child, but the first major wedding between like my cousins, missing my mom's birthday. There's like a lot of stuff that you say goodbye to, and it really takes a certain level of character and love for this lifestyle. I'm obviously not sleeping in a luxurious room. I mean, I'm in no ways in a tent or anything, as much as I've been on trips that are extremely rugged and in the wild. But yeah, it's comfortable, so it's definitely doable. But you kind of cut off from access to all the things that are that you sometimes take for granted, and you definitely realize that when you're here. Like the biggest challenge for me is family and my dogs. I love my pets are everything to me. So yeah, every single time I leave, they can see the bags are packed, and that's definitely one of the hardest goodbyes, is saying goodbye to my animals and my family. On the flip side, it is an absolutely magical lifestyle to be able to live out here and experience nature day to day, day in and out. And when you have prolonged periods, it's like playing the lottery. Every day you go out into the bush, every day you wake up out here, you kind of buy a lottery ticket to witness the magic of nature and the wild. And that's the thing as well. It is a repetitive routine in the sense of the hours are the same. You wake up early, you go on game drive, come back for breakfast, and then do data management. Like I'm editing my footage and dumping my footage and stuff and getting through all the raw content. And then before you know it, it's back to game drive. But then every day is different. The nature's never the same. So yeah, you can be sitting having the most chilled day where you think, okay, it's not been the busiest drive, and a lion pride, or often when it's the craziest, when a pack of wild dogs just show up on the scene and they absolutely just cause havoc and chaos. So it keeps you on your toes. But yeah, it's definitely not a holiday. For the guests, I mean, they get the guest experience, and our job. I'm also here representing the company. I've got the logo. Shout out Lion Camp.
Nice.
If anyone ever wants to come to Zambia, this is definitely the lodge to be at. And yeah, my job is also to ensure that the guests on my side get a great experience. Well, is also just to be a bit of a storyteller, to share experiences with them. And then at the moment, we're kind of doing like a recce in the sense of establishing how for next season I can sell photographic safari packages with them, as well as be like have a very, very flexible and very diverse role here, in the sense of wear a bit of a hospitality hat. I'm a wildlife filmmaker by trade. That was my original reasoning for coming to Luangwa the last 2 years. And then I built up the relationship with the lodge, and hence them giving me the call out. So yeah, it's work, but geez, they've asked me like, when do you want a day off? And I just can't take a day off because, just my luck, the day I take off has been the shot I was dreaming of trying to capture happen. So yeah, you kind of just get into this loop, a bit of a echo chamber in a way, but you get so absorbed and so connected and so, yeah, it's a calling. Nature really, really calls you into it. And you get so obsessed with the idea that you have this role and responsibility to bring their stories to life, because obviously, around the world, we're losing biodiversity, we're losing our wild spaces. So to be able to be out here and be part of the mission of bringing these stories to light is my life's calling. So yeah, that's what keeps me getting through the challenges every single day.
Yeah, I mean, you say it's work, but it's definitely not something that's comparable to like a 9-to-5 office job, right? It's exciting work compared to that.
You see, like, no hate to anyone who works in an office space, the world must go around, and there's roles and responsibilities in every space. I still have a bank account that I need to get my invoices paid into, and I have to do my invoices. And, there's hardworking people around the world on every level that fill their role. And yeah, I just hope that, each and every one of us out there has the opportunity to find out what that is for them and be able to pursue that. And this is what life has chosen me for. I never necessarily chose this career. I kind of walked into it almost leading myself with something very similar to Jack Sparrow's compass, never knowing which way it's pointing, but just my intuition just saying, go left, go right. And the more and more I started realizing that I trusted that, the more and more I got closer to the things that I never knew I could dream of doing, but felt incredibly at peace with. But
I love that. And do you feel that there's a bit of, we're talking about the bank account needs filling, and I think a lot of people are going to be asking that question straight away, is like, we're currently, like, for people who are just listening, we're currently sat and Daz has got this most unbelievable background, and you think about, okay, what are the trade-offs, and you're like, okay, well, yeah, do you feel a financial instability? Is that not something that bothers you at all, or is it, have you managed to get yourself into a place where you feel pretty stable as well as being able to experience what you are experiencing?
I've been very lucky, I think the wildlife filmmaking and the wildlife filmmaking side is a different kind of business. I feel a lot for guides, safari guides. Really, that's a very challenging space, and I commend all of them. There are guys who have made a killing and stuff, but a lot of them are just passion driven. But within the wildlife filmmaking space, yeah, you can definitely create stability for yourself financially. It's not easy. It's been a challenge, and it's been a lot of strategic planning in the sense of how I spend my money, but how I manage it. But the thing is as well, when you're out here, your expenses just drop. At the moment, I've like my lease in Cape Town, I've handed over to a friend. When I'm here, I'm fed. So pretty much your cost of living is drastically lower. So yeah, you can definitely save a lot and earn a bit of a nest egg, but then getting back to a place like Cape Town where it's very expensive, and I haven't essentially set up a strong foundation of work there, then I can start burning through the nest egg pretty quickly. So the goal is to kind of set up a lifestyle where you find some sort of retainer with a lodge, which is the goal of some sort, or now my plan is to build a business that like services the ecotourism industry, and then also develops concepts that are unique in ecotourism, conservation, wildlife filmmaking, and just marries them all together. But Yeah, I've definitely spent a good proportion of the last couple years choosing passion over income in places where I could have earned more, but that's never been a question for me. I know that for me, my goal is to solidify a lifestyle and a career that I can make one day sustainable in the way that I can obviously, hopefully build myself into financial freedom, but I was never gonna do something that could offer that didn't offer me the lifestyle and dream of a career.
Okay. And so with the social media side of things then, is that part of that mission to kind of build financial freedom and expand yourself into like the world of wildlife filmmaking? Obviously we know that you've got like nearly 30,000 Instagram followers now, and the content you're putting out is obviously brilliant to share with people around the world that perhaps can't afford to come and see like the park for itself, right? So is that part of your like mission to build up your reputation as a photographer?
And a massive shout out for hitting that massive.
Congrats.
Yeah, it's we feel honoured to be in the presence of someone like that.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, it just hit 35 million views today, and it's 1.2 million likes. It blew my mind. I nearly never put that post out. I was a day late for Lion Day, and I was like, well, I've missed it. But then I just thought, just get something out. And I went into an old archive and pulled out a video and posted it. And, that's just the magic of the online world. You never know what can take. But yeah, going back to your question, 100%. So I kind of reached a crossroads where I was like, I've kind of hit a bit of a ceiling in terms of opportunity on a local level. And then obviously the next big step would be to like try get into the big ones like the BBCs and try land a job on a Netflix special of some sort. But that just wasn't made available immediately. I haven't explored it on like a huge level yet. Like the idea has crossed my mind to move to Bristol or even just spend some time there and like just go shop myself around the big dogs. But 100%, I've always been entrepreneurial in my own way. I've always wanted to build my own businesses. So I reached a point where I said, let me self-invest, and I would love to just focus on building my own channels and then having something I can also open up and create opportunities for other like-minded people who lack the opportunity, because it is a very, very niche career and the amount of opportunities floating around are limited. So I'm very blessed and lucky to have like quarter lucky trajectory. But at the moment I'm focusing on trying to utilize social media to blow my account up, to then eventually set up a YouTube channel and then build a business and a brand out of it. But the ultimate goal is to actually create something long-term and sustainable for everyone who loves nature. But then also I'd love to really start building infrastructure for communities and start doing a lot of social outreach and work for the amazing and incredible human beings who live around these national parks and live in remote places.
I love that. And it's so clear through your social media work that authenticity comes out, which I think is like such a key thing when building that band. And I would like, we're speaking about all the amazing things you get up to, and I just wanted to take a step back and just ask you, if someone, sitting in the UK, maybe has experienced wildlife, maybe been lucky to be out in the bush and see some of the wildlife, say they wanted to get involved in photography or just being around the animals and what you're doing, what would you say is the best way for them to up sticks and get involved with the work that you do?
It's interesting you asked this question, because I had this discussion just a few minutes ago with someone, but I'll get to that part now. But what I used to say was, it's very tricky, but the most important thing is a show reel or a portfolio. Photographic portfolios are tricky because it's a heavily saturated space. So I think what also helped me catch a break was I've been very video focused. I mean, I've only actually started taking stills again on this trip, but the last 3 years I actually haven't had a stills camera in my hand. I've just been working only on cinema cameras and stuff, shooting video. So the video aspect, I mean, motion picture, it definitely puts you in more of a niche, but the photographic side is 100% very, very, very saturated. But still, a great space to learn in, because I mean, I always feel like if you can get an eye for a still, you essentially then the next step is you've got the eye for a great image, but now you just need to create a motion picture, and then that just comes with the skill of learning to basically get it's a muscle memory, it's a feeling and a connection to your camera and your subject, and then just being able to tap into that flow. You like welcome in this energy that you kind of get absorbed in, and then you can feel like you're holding onto the shot of an animal. So that's the difference in the sense of stills and photo. But building up a portfolio is the most important thing, because just get out there and you don't necessarily have to go to luxury safari lodges. If it means coming out to South Africa and booking a car and getting out into the Kruger, even if you're back at home, I've spent hours when it's been quiet with macro equipment filming praying mantis and bees interacting with each other, and witnessed some of the most ridiculous animal or insect creature behavior. So you can do it in your backyard. I even back at home will just pull out a camera and film birds and stuff. It's universal. If you can capture a bird on a camera at home, you can capture an elephant, you can capture a polar bear. So I would say get out and learn your craft, get good at using your equipment, spend a lot of time learning animal behavior. It's very important. That's critical to understand. Learn the behavior, take your time to learn your craft, whether it's at home or coming out on a trip. But now my original mentor, my first mentor of the game, an absolute legend, David Eastall, and his partner, Lauren Arthur, have started a company called Too Wild, and they've started the first official wildlife production course that you can do in the Timbavati near the Kruger National Park on cinema standard equipment, like the most unreal macro equipment. They are kitted to the max when it comes to gear. They have an entire BBC standard production kit. They've got the knowledge. Lauren's a land biologist, marine biologist. She's a wildlife presenter. She's one of the most popular wildlife presenters. David's shot for the BBC, Netflix, Nat Geo. So they've started a full-on wildlife filmmaking course, which is also both that and a luxury safari experience. So you can basically do, I think it's an 8-week course or even a 16-week course of some sort. I'd have to go look for sure, but that would be the first thing I would say to anyone now. Anyone who asks me, I say follow this page, Too Wild Productions. That's where you will really, really get the guidance, especially from the guy who taught me all his tricks of the trade and was the most pivotal person in my trajectory out here. So if you want to do it, the man who set it up for me has set it up on the most wild, literally too wild setup. So yeah, if you are really serious about it and you want the answers and you want the information, you want the hands on the technology, and you really, really want to get into the space, there's no better place.
I love that. And it's clear that you're doing all the work that put those opportunities in front of you. It's a big thing that we speak about so much, about the fact that people claim that these freelancers, it's all about luck, but actually, that experience that you build up, that 25-minute show reel, all those things are going to combine together to mean that you're a lot more likely to be lucky. And I guess that is almost why you're able to sit where you are sat now, as opposed to having to kind of desperately get out there and do the sort of things you want to be doing.
Exactly. Yeah, you create your own luck 100% as a freelancer, and as an entrepreneur or anyone in any space. You just have to turn over stones, and at some point you find a little pot of gold or something like that. But the most important thing is to invest in yourself. You really just have to invest in your skill set, because at the end of the day, your work needs to speak for itself. You and your skill set and the need for you in a space and an opportunity arises, and putting yourself out there to be the person fit for the job. It's all the hard yards that no one really sees in the background, and the sacrifices and commitment at times when you thought, what am I doing with my life? I'm seeing all of my friends and guys who chose a lot more stable careers and traditional careers, creating stability, buying houses, buying their cars and stuff. And I was just look, I just have to trust in what I'm doing. And I read a book by Robert Greene, Mastery. To anyone who wants to pursue anything in their life, it's a must read, because that just gave me the sense of comfort to know that at some point, if you just keep, the results are a result of action and dedication. So at some point, things will take a turn, and then it's like the Sisyphus story, you roll the boulder up the mountain, and as long as you keep doing it, you get stronger and you get stronger, and at some point you roll the boulder over the mountain, and then the momentum shifts and changes, and then your career takes it.
I love it. Talking about making your own luck and that, I guess sometimes you need a bit of luck to keep alive where you are, especially as you were, we've seen a few videos of you pretty close to lions and other dangerous animals. So tell us about a few of the experiences you've had up and close to some of the most impressive animals in the world.
Sorry to interrupt our guest there, but we just wanted to share one thing with you. If we could ask a massive favour, you might have seen on our social media recently that we've began a mailing list. So what we'd ask that you do, if you've seen that and you've not yet signed up, if you could go and find the link, and we'll share it onto our social medias regularly. If you could go on there, drop your email, and it just means that ensures you'll never miss an episode of any of our new guests that may lead you down a path less chosen yourself, or that you'll be able to share with friends. So if you could sign up to that mailing list, it'd be fantastic in us sharing the episode with you. Back to the episode.
The goal is never to also disturb or get yourself into dangerous situations for content. There's definitely people who try to do that kind of stuff. But yeah, the thing about nature is that nothing out here is here to get you. A lot of people ask, like, are you safe? Like, I feel incredibly safe out here. Like, I'm sitting in the wild right now. I've obviously got places to run and hide, but like elephants would walk behind me. There's usually a hippo and there's a little bit of water source over there. Can give you a bit of a look around. That's the GM's house over there. They've got like a real Tarzan and Jane vibe going on. I've had a couple like hairy encounters, that's for sure, but you just have to stay calm. Trust that if you respect an animal, give it its space. You also never, particularly with elephants, you never know what they've experienced a couple hours before. They might have run into lions, and they're incredibly sensitive animals, so they'll have a bad day, and that's important to respect them and allow them the space they need. And like, if you, like with elephants and stuff, like, where you see these crazy videos and stuff of elephants attacking cars, obviously things can go wrong at any point, but I like to park and then let them decide to be inquisitive. Don't park yourself in their life. So it's like just this respect that you give to animals. That, yeah, I've been fortunate enough not to have anything like, life-threatening happen in the sense of encounters out in the bush, but I have woken up while I was washing my face and I had a blackneck spitting cobra in my room. So yeah, basically washing my face before dinner, I heard a clunk above my head, and there's this blackneck spitting cobra like trying to recoil itself on like a beam at 2-3 meters from my head. But it's not there to bite me. Its interest is in the squirrels that run through the roof. It's not there to, if it at any point bit me, it was because it felt threatened. So the interesting thing about snakes is that I feel like we all, no matter who you are, you're born with like a reflex of some sort, which it basically paralyzes you. The second time I've had a very close encounter with a cobra. The first time was with the Mosin cobra in KZN, when I opened the chest freezer, and when I closed it after getting a milkshake out the freezer, there was this big cobra on the washing machine next to me, like crawled up in my face. And that was the first real encounter with like a cobra in my face, and I just froze. Like, my body just froze, and I had this opportunity to think about what I need to do. I just looked away, took 3 or 4 paces back, and I was out of the danger zone, and then it went back. But when people panic or try to attack the animal or the snake or something like that, that's when you get yourself into a hairy situation. But yeah, with the cobra in my room, I just realized, I was like, okay, cool, there's a 3-meter cobra in my room. And I just calmly walked out. The bit of movement started a little bit. It flared its hood, and I was like, oh, if I needed any confirmation, it's definitely a cobra. I walked out and I just knocked on the door calmly of Wayne's. He won't vouch calmly. I was shaking my boots and I was like, Wayne, I need to chat to you. And yeah, he walked in and I said, look, and he's like, wow, what a beautiful specimen. Like, look how gorgeous this animal is. And it's like, then you slip out of this idea that I was in a life-threatening situation, and now I have this opportunity to up close and personally observe this beautiful, beautiful creature. And then, yeah, he had like 2 glasses of wine and said, there's no ways I'm dealing with a cobra right now. They moved me into another room and said, no, it's been seen. And then a few days later, I moved back in. And he says, there's a good chance you've been here for the last 2 months and you moved in with the snake. Like, it wouldn't have actually come in here. Or there's a chance that it would have, but I probably had it as a roommate, unknowingly moving through the roof and into the other rooms and stuff, just casually, had no interest in me, and was just probably dealing with a squirrel problem in the roof.
Oh my goodness. I think you may have maybe lost some listeners that have an irrational fear of snakes, including my sister, during that story, but absolutely mental. And I imagine like you've got plenty of stuff like that, which is just insane. So I think then just to move on to our final question, which we ask all of our guests, and it'd be interesting to hear how you kind of answer it given where you are now. If you could go back to the start, maybe when you picked up the hobby in photography and discovered that this was the passion that you wanted to pursue, what is one thing you would do the same, one thing you would do differently, and then one thing you would tell yourself to motivate yourself?
So one thing I always do the same is having the belief that life is meant to be experienced. And at any point, if you feel like when you recognize that you're in a space that you don't want to be in, immediately see that as the discomfort. I feel like depression, anxiety, obviously there's many reasons for it, but in terms of feeling stagnated in your career, I feel like it's a sign. to say that maybe I've outgrown this opportunity or outgrown this space. One thing I would have done differently, I would have journaled more. I definitely regret not journaling enough. There's a lot of experiences and things that happen that I only remember here and there. And like I've started journaling, and then I can go back and read, and all these little small nuances that you sometimes would have forgotten. So definitely journaling, and be kinder to myself. I have a very, very self-critical kind of voice in my head sometimes, especially when I feel like things aren't going right. So just to be kinder to myself. I think of myself as like a little 4-year-old with immense dreams and wanting to see the world in any way like possible. And I just think of being kinder to that guy who would have been so stoked to be where I am at this point. So then that leads to the next question, or the next part of the question with what do I do to motivate myself? So I've always had like a very similar to thinking to like what I'm reading in Rick Rubin's book at the moment about creativity. Obviously, Rick Rubin's one of the masters of creative mind, but it's given me comfort in the idea of knowing that motivation is not really something you can do. The result of acting creates the motivation, and then that motivation drives the next act. So if you're not feeling motivated, just get out and do something. And that's usually like when you feel like I really don't want to do what I need to be doing, and then you get into this feedback loop of being nasty to yourself because it's now day 3 and you're still binge watching TV and like on your phone, and you're starting to feel bad and negative about yourself. To just break that loop, get out. It doesn't have to be even something related to your career. Get out, go for a walk, do something healthy and positive, like do something in a sense of exercise. I feel like exercise like stimulates the mind in such a great way, especially if you're a creative. It allows like a reset and endorphins to come in, and then you feel motivated. So then you get a spark of inspiration, and act on inspiration when it hits you. Don't bank your ideas and think that like, a lot of ideas, because I feel like ideas are more of a responsibility than a gift. I've definitely been there when I felt like, I've got these amazing ideas, but I actually think ideas root themselves in creative people out there, inventors and stuff. And often you'll see like, wow, I thought about that, but like someone else is doing it now. And the truth is that maybe the idea isn't yours. The idea is just trying to root itself in the world, and it's going to root itself in someone who acts upon it.
Fantastic. Like so many important messages to finish on there, like really. And it's just been fascinating to listen to, not just the job that you're doing, which is a fascinating career in itself, but also like the key messages in there that are amazing takeaways for kind of any career and anybody thinking about what kind of careers they want to go into. I know I'm definitely not going to be the only person that's jealous of. But I've got to say, congratulations on what you're doing. 35 million views on a video is no mean feat for sure. And also just a big thank you from us for coming on and sharing all that with us. So we appreciate it.
No, I appreciate it. And thanks for having me. And also straight back at you guys. I mean, you guys are equally on the same level, pursuing yourselves. So many endless possibilities. And like I said, you create your own luck, and then luck just throws you a super lucky curveball. A lot of us often look at our lives and notice like the more negative curveballs and challenges and stuff that we get thrown. And it's like, well, I've just got back on my feet now. Why are you doing this to me in life? But look at the endless source of luck and opportunity out there, that if you just get up one day, you might stumble across a diamond.
Yeah.
Love that.
What a way to end, mate. Thank you so much for that. Okay, mate, that was absolutely unbelievable. I can't wait to put out the footage of what he actually looked like behind him. But for anyone listening on audio, it was unbelievable, and it definitely lived up to everything we expected on the episode, and hopefully has inspired a few people who love nature to get out there. But without further ado, Jamie, let's go for the takeaway.
Yeah, so I think first key takeaway for me was the concept of following what he referred to as Jack Sparrow's compass, and that basically just means like following your intuition. When you're looking at how your career and how your life is going to pan out, he said that like life is there to be experienced, it's meant to be experienced. So if you just follow that like inner compass that's within you and just follow what you're actually interested in, that will eventually get you to the career that you want to be in. And I like that.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's so true. And I think we knew that was going to be a takeaway of this episode, but like, so when he speaks so passionately about following that compass, I think it was cool. And I think my takeaway would actually build on that, is that not only can you should follow your compass, but actually I think people will be surprised about how much you can build a career out of any passion or interest. Like, we sit there and we think, the photographer who likes taking photos of animals and is very good at it. But actually, like, he's working out like how he can use social media to build a massive online following, to then build a business, to then work freelance for some of the biggest companies in the world. And actually, people will be surprised at how small of a hobby you need to have to turn into such a big business. And that like really was a massive takeaway for me, that he could turn taking photos of animals, which is what it really is, into this like really successful business that means he can do his passion for his career, which I love the idea of.
Yeah, so good. No, exactly what the podcast is all about. And I think links nicely into my third one, really, which is how he actually got to the point where he has turned that into his career now. And he began by saying that like he believes that results are the result of the actions that he's taken. And he used another like simile and metaphor similar to the Jack Sparrow's compass one, where he referred to it as like pushing a boulder up a mountain. And to begin with, you know, you have to do like the hard couple of years or however long it may take to put the grind into like your craft, learning your craft, bringing your passion towards the point where you can maybe turn it into a career. And then eventually you get to the top of the mountain and you push the boulder over the other side and suddenly all the momentum is behind you. And I like that metaphor. I thought that was a really good way of summing up the fact that it's, you know, it's not going to be pretty, it's not going to be always ridiculously fun right from the start or in whatever career you're doing, but eventually you will get to the point where you've built yourself up enough that you've turned it into a really successful career and then down the other side with the boulder.
Absolutely spot on. Love that metaphor as well. Clearly something you're going to take away, but I think, yeah, such a good idea that. So to sum up, we've got follow the compass, follow your interests, and it will lead you into a career that you love. And then you can build that career, no matter how small or niche your passion is, into a business, and by thinking in a cool way about it. And then the last one is, it might take a bit of hard graft, it might not be pretty, but if you use that boulder analogy, you will get to the top of the mountain and over the other side. All right, good stuff, mate. Thanks for listening, everyone, and looking forward to catching you all next week.
Perfect. Congratulations to reaching it to the end of the episode. We really appreciate you getting this far. And now that you're here, we just want to ask one big favor. So we know you probably had a few conversations with your friends where they tell you about how much they hate their job. So what we'd ask is that if a friend like that comes to mind, that you click on the share button on whatever platform you're listening on and just send it to that friend. And just make sure that they're able to hear this, and perhaps it will inspire them to do a career that they actually will end up enjoying. And we'd really appreciate that, as it helps us grow the pod.